I was in Nigeria. That was my first trip to Nigeria in the 80s. But it was 85, 86. And I went with Benson Idahosa. And I met him in Canada years ago. He was very dynamic, very dynamic. When I met him, how many of you are old enough to remember him? Put your hands up high. How many of you are young enough not to remember him? Put your hands up high. Okay. Well, he was an amazing man of God. Amazing man of God. So he invited me to come to Nigeria, and he asked if I would come for 2 weeks. And I said, yes. But when I met him, I did not tell you that. It was in Miami, Florida. He stood on the head table, and he led 5,000 people in a song. Mine eyes have seen the glory of the coming Lord. The place, I thought we were going to be raptured. He was so dynamic. I never seen anyone like him. Later we met, we became friends. He took me to Nigeria. I saw things with him I never thought I'd see in my life. Now you young people, how many young people are here? Stand up, stand up. Look how many young people are here. Wow. I think some of them stood up that want to be young people. It's okay, thank you. You may be seated. So, I have never seen any man in my life do what he did. So he took me to preach in Ibadan and in Kaduna. So when we went up to Kaduna, we get to the airport. Not one of us has a ticket. Nobody has a ticket. Nobody knows we're coming. He goes to the pilot. That man spoke in tongues just for me, saying he went to the pilot. He goes right on the plane. He tells the pilot not to go anywhere. He asks the passengers, it was already full, they were about to take off to Kaduna. He tells the pilot he's not going nowhere. He kicks everyone off the plane. Benson goes up on the plane and kicks everybody off. And the whole plane is empty now. And he's telling them all to wait outside. Not one of us had a ticket or a boarding pass. He puts us on the plane, first class. I'm thinking to myself, this man controls the airport. Then he goes down, there's a big line of people, and he says, go, go, you go, you go. And then there's still another, I don't know how many is still waiting. He said, you all go home. And they all went home. He goes to the pilot, he said, you take off now. And the pilot did. When I get to Kaduna, of course, I met some amazing people there. It was a powerful, powerful time. But this man of God was unusual. We're sitting back, this is before, cell phones and before all the new technology, where you had to make, if you wanted to make a phone call, international call, in Nigeria, you had to go to a call-in center or something, like a big, some room somewhere. And you sat down and waited. And somebody was doing the wires, the old wires. This is back in the 80s. And so we waited for 2 hours. A young man comes in. And he gets on his knees. He says, Papa, I have asthma. And Benson said, open your mouth. And he opens his mouth and he breathed like that. And then he slapped him real hard. I never saw anyone slap anyone in my life before. He slapped him so hard, I thought the man's face will come off. He said, you are healed. And he went woof like that. And the asthma came out of him just like that. The man was healed of asthma. I was stunned. I thought, dear God, this man, I never saw anybody slap anybody. I remember my wife's grandmother telling me, Smith Wigglesworth, she had been to his meetings in England, and he used to punch people. And some man died in his meeting, and he said, pick him up, and he actually punched him in the stomach. He said, in Jesus' name, rise. Wham! Nothing happened. The guy fell. He was still dead. He said, pick him up again. He punched him the second time, and he fell down dead. Third time, he punched him in the face, and the man came back to life. And when my wife's grandma told me that he came back to life, I said, I'm glad he came back to life. Otherwise, he would have killed him for sure. But I never saw anyone punch people or slap people to get healed. That was my first experience with Benson. But Oral Roberts told me something. Now, I had not, I wasn't with Oral when he went. It was after I went. And I guess there was a drought in Nigeria. And the president of Nigeria told Benson, we need rain. He said, you'll have it in 2 hours. That's what he said to him. Now, that's Oral told me that. Oral was there with him. And he said it rained exactly 2 hours later. So, people like him are rare. I mean, most of them are in heaven now.